Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. My name is Ellen, and so I've been in Tupperware 18 years. A little over 18 years, which is bananas. I remember when I first started, I was like, people would be like, "I've been in Tupperware 14 years," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's like a lifetime." And here I am, 18 years later. So when I started in Tupperware, I actually had been in other direct sales companies before, just actually two, technically three, but I don't really count the first one because I was didn't really know what I was doing. So, which is not the way to recruit people, guys, right? We're not that type of direct sales company. We're the type that we're proud out loud of what the name of our company. And so that's not what we do. So I don't really count that one. So yeah, so I was with two other direct sales companies before Tupperware. So I kind of knew a basic understanding of the simplicity of the business. And a lot of the times when I'm talking to people about the business, I'm very clear about that it is a very simple business. Is it easy? There are definitely aspects of the business that are easy, but just like any other job, there are aspects that are not easy, or there are aspects that aren't your favorite part of the business, right? But just like your vitamins, you got to take them in order to be healthy, right? Whenever I'm talking to people about the business, I frequently say it's a simple business, not necessarily an easy business, but hard work pays off, right? So what's interesting to me when it comes to talking to people about the business is a lot of times it's not about longevity in the business, right? It's not about longevity in the business. It's about time spent, hours clocked, your intentional work that you put into the business. And that's what makes a big difference. And so it was when I first came to Tupperware and I'd be working vendor events and stuff, and people would be like, "Oh, how long have you been with your company?" I'm like, 6 months. And they're like, "Oh, you're a baby." And they act like I didn't know what I was talking about. When actually, a lot of times when I started talking, I actually had excelled in my business in that short amount of time further than they had in months and years in their business, right? So it's not about longevity. So for those of you that, when I said 18 years, you were like, oh my gosh, like I don't have a story to share because you haven't been in the business for 18 years or even a year or maybe even 6 months, right? You still have a story to share, okay? So 18 years ago, when I started, when I came to Tupperware, when I met Pam about a year or so before I started in Tupperware, and she was just so magnetic. And like her energy, everything about her was the definition of attractive, right? In not talking about the exterior, of course, she's a beautiful woman, but it was her personality, it was her energy, it was all of that. It was just like her aura, right? And so that's what I wanted. I wanted more of that. I wanted more positivity in my life. My husband and I, we were going through a really hard time financially. And when you're going through a hard time financially, it kind of bleeds over into all the rest of your life, your relationships, and just your everyday, right? So when I met her, I was just like, oh, I just want to drink in that energy so I can take a little bit of it and just infuse it into my day, right? And so then over time, we formed a friendship. And then when the time came that I was like, you know what? I'm done with this direct sales stuff. It's not working for me. She was really quick to go, whoa, whoa, time out, time out. Can we have a conversation? Right. So we did. We had a conversation, and I remember very vividly sitting at the island in her kitchen that she's going to be doing a demo from here in just a couple minutes. At the island in her kitchen, we sat there, and she said, "What do you want? What do you want from a business?" And I said, "I want to be able to pay my bills. Like I want to make full-time income. I know that it's not going to happen overnight, but this is what I need and what I want for my family. That's my big goal." And I had been in direct sales long enough to know that a lot of times leaders, they don't want to hear that being your big goal is to pay your bills, right? There's nothing sexy about that. There's nothing like that's big, like big goal about that. But that's where I was at. That was the reality that I was in. I couldn't see the forest through the trees, right? I couldn't pay my electric bill. I couldn't pay my gas bill. So I wasn't thinking about a lake house. I wasn't thinking about some elaborate vacation. I was thinking about putting food on my table, right? So she was the first person that I actually shared the reality of that goal who said, "That's an amazing goal." And I was like, "Oh." Sweet, because that's the goal, right? So I sat there across the table from her and I just was like, I don't know what you're gonna do with me because I can't recruit and I can't date parties. It was almost kind of a challenge, right? I was just like, I don't know what you're gonna do with me because I can't date parties and I can't recruit. And she just kind of was like, I can teach you those things. I can teach you those things, right? Because she saw something in me that I couldn't see. I couldn't see through the brokenness that I was feeling because coming off of a failed brick and mortar business, a couple of failed direct sales businesses, right? I couldn't see what she was seeing through her leadership lens, right? And that's what she sees in so many of us in Champion, right? So I'm talking about her having this conversation with me, but I'm sure there are plenty of you that she's had that conversation with you or something similar. And I know she sees that in so many people here at Champion. Um, so she sat there and she's like, I can teach you those things, you know? And I was like, all right, let's give this a shot, right? And so, but I told myself, I made a promise to myself in that moment. I was like, all right, this is like the third direct sales company. Remember, we didn't count the first one. So this is the third direct sales company. And so I was just like, I'm gonna leave no stone unturned. This is my last ditch effort. I'm not gonna go to another direct sales company because I didn't want to be that person that jumps from company to company to company, right? And so I just was like, this is it. And so I didn't say to her, but I said to myself, I was like, whatever she says, I will do, right? And so she literally said jump. I said how high. I didn't ask questions to the point. I remember like I started at the very end of October that year. And so November was really my first month. I think my launch party was like literally like one of the last days of October. And so I really was starting in that November. And come December, I remember calling her on the phone and I said, I didn't know what an active consultant was. I knew the definition of like active consultants, right, in other companies, but it's different in every company. So I called her. I was like, hey, what does active consultant mean? And at this point, I was a manager, right? So I stepped up to manager in 30 days. And so I was like, what's an active consultant? And she's like, well, an active consultant is it was I think at the time it was 350, 250 or whatever in 4 months or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I was like, I gotta go. And I hung up the phone because in the other company I was with, an active consultant, everybody had to get reactivated every single month. Okay, every single month at the beginning of the month, everybody was deactivated and everybody had to reactivate. Well, that was a huge hurdle to overcome every single month. And it was a loophole as to why I wouldn't get paid. And so immediately I was like, oh, this is really exciting. I'm not starting like at zero every month with my team and all of that. So, and that was super exciting to me. And the cool thing is it was kind of like ignorance on fire. I didn't worry about the details. I just worry about the tasks, right? And so I just got lost in the tasks. And so whenever I would start to get the water would get kind of muddy, I would I'd tap into Pam and I would say, hey, what do I need to do? And she would say, do this, this, and this. And she would simplify it for me. And that's why I say this business is very simple, right? Because we date parties, we sell products, we recruit and we grow, right? And that's what we do. And that's how we grow in the business. And it's very simple formula, right? And in the meantime, while all that beautiful stuff is going on, you know what's amazing? You know what the amazing side effect is? One, we grow. We grow as people, right? Because some of the things that have happened to me in this business is like, oh my gosh, I've grown so much as a human, as a person, my confidence, I've grown as a parent, as a spouse, as a friend, right? All those things have happened as a beautiful side effect of this business because I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly teaching and I'm constantly, training myself and I'm constantly looking at others and seeing how they're doing it and seeing the beauty and the differences in the way people do this business. And there's space for everyone, right? So if you don't look like me, if you don't talk like me, if you don't come from the same part of the country as loves me. That is completely okay. There's a place for you in this business and you can be successful in your own way, right? Because when I worked the business, in the beginning, I didn't work the business like the successful Loretta, right? She worked her business in a different way that I did, but I still was managed to find success, right? And there were other successful people at that time. I didn't work the business the same way they did, but I was still able to make my path and find my success. And you can too. And that's one of the things that is so beautiful about Tupperware is that it's a product that everybody uses, right? We all use stuff like that because we all eat, right? Even if you don't cook, right? Because I get that sometimes people are like, I don't cook. I'm not sure how that works. People when they say I don't cook and they have a family, I'm like, how do you get away with that? Because I would love to tap into that. I would love to be able to be like, hey guys, I don't cook anymore. So you guys, somebody else needs to cook. That'd be awesome. But it doesn't work that way. So, but we all eat. Every human eats, right? And we have the product for that, right? We have the food storage, right? So that's always that's my overcoming that objection when people are like, oh, I don't cook. And I was like, do you eat? Because that's actually kind of our jam is like food storage, right? So, and that's the beauty of this business is the name recognition, right? And it's a product everybody can use. Men, women, children, adults, senior citizens, everybody, midlife, everybody uses it, right? And so you can grow in this business, right? Whether you're trying to grow an income or if you're trying to grow your confidence or if you're trying to grow your positivity, your outlook, any of that stuff, all those things are here for you, right? All those things are here for you when you tap into the source, right? And so coming to meetings and listening to the training and doing all those wonderful things, those are all in place for you. And the majority of it is absolutely free. That you can look into, right? And we do have some paid for stuff, right? Some things, special things come up that are worth it, right? But yeah, so it has been just a wild ride. And the thing, honestly, that I'm most excited about now is the future because over these 18 years there's been peaks and there's been valleys, lots of peaks and valleys in my personal life, in my business, right? I've had leaders come and leaders go. I've had huge success and I've had valleys, right? We've all had the ups and downs. That is part of life. It is part of business. Does it mean we're done? Absolutely not. It doesn't. It means you just put one foot in front of the other and you keep going, right? It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means try again, right? Keep going. And so I think that's what I'm most excited about now is because we're starting from experience, right? We have this wonderful experience behind us. So and there's so much space and room to grow, right? And our company is so in it with us right now, more than I have seen in years and years and years. And it just gives me this confidence. It gives me confidence to recruit. It gives me confidence to grow, and it gives me confidence to take care of my customers and all of that. And so that's one of the things I just absolutely love about the business. And that's one of the things I love about right now in the business more than ever is just we're poised and we're ready. We're ready to elevate, as Pam says here at Champion, right? That's our word for the year. We're ready to elevate. And so I hope that that helps everybody and that you are here along the journey to elevate with us. So